Hello friend, Jim here with JBsBigAdventure coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico. And today I am back at the plaza here in Ajijic. And we've got quite the thunderstorm passing by. So I picked a place that didn't have a whole lot of people, but it had a nice background. So I'm gonna do that here. So yes, what I'm doing is, I've done a video in the past about what is it about people that come to Lake Chapala, but they're here and then they leave. What are the reasons? What compels people if they come here to end up leaving? Now, I will share with you that over the last 4.5 years, 4 years or so that I've had this channel, there are far more people that are moving here to Mexico than leaving, by a huge number. And so I fully recognize that Mexico isn't for everybody. You know, we're all wired differently. We're all looking for certain things personally that fulfills our life. And so it's one of those things where I realize that, hey, it's not for everybody. But why is it, in fact, that people leave? Now, there are two reasons why I do YouTube videos, or what I really try to make sure that I'm doing with videos. One is recognizing who my audience is. And number two is, what problem am I solving? So I want you to know in advance why, in fact, some people come and then some people leave. So first one, and these are all ones that I've had people share with me personally. This is not like, I just found these somewhere. These are actual things that people have mentioned to me. So one thing has been the cobblestone. Now, there is a group of folks that come here that they get on to walking, and they're walking through Ajijic. And in Ajijic, for the most part, above and below the carretera, you're going to find cobblestones. You're going to find rocks. And so it is very important to know that if you are planning on coming here and you are on the cobblestone, just make sure they're always looking down. I mean, I still even do that. Look down, just making sure that I'm stepping in the right place. So some people really get tired of walking on the cobblestone all the time. But here's the thing. You don't have to live in Ajijic. There's plenty of other places. Barbara and I live in a place there's no cobblestone. So just knowing that just because one person, that's something that was disappointing to them. And I think that there's nobody that comes here and sees the cobblestones and then leaves. I think it's the combinations of things that actually they look at doing that. Another one is the topes, which is the speed bumps. Yes, through Ajijic, there are speed bumps, but it isn't like there's so many, it's ridiculous. But some people just get tired of going by. Personally, I don't think there's too many of them, except when you're in some outlying towns, there might be some. So I've driven so many times the 20 miles, 25, 30 miles here along the North Shore of Lake Chapala that I pretty much know where they are, where they're coming up, and just where you have to be careful. So the topes. Another one is people don't speak Spanish. You know, we come to a country that the people, they're living their lives, they're living their culture. And there are people still today that come here thinking that in one way or another, they're going to bring their culture here. And part of that is called entitlement. So my goal when I got here was I want to fully embrace the Mexican culture. How do we do that? Well, we're not only friendly with the Mexican people, because they're wonderful people. They're hardworking. They've always got smiles. They're always very helpful. But it's to learn the language. So I'm taking Spanish lessons. Actually, I've been doing it for some time now. And it's really made a difference for me to be able to be at a little bit better than where I was when I first got here. So people come, and a lot of people I have found that live in Ajijic, they don't want to learn Spanish. They're okay just speaking English. So we can't come here expecting the Mexican people to be knowing English. We need to come here and be speaking their language. This is their country. So we need to be very respectful of that and learn how to speak their language. Now, do people come and they leave? I would say that that's kind of a combination within some things. But I just think it's important to have the mindset that when you're coming here, that's exactly what you're doing, is to communicate with them in their language. There have been people that have come and they've become ill. I've got a couple right now, just a really neat, special couple. The husband got sick and went to the doctor's offices. His wife actually speaks fluent Spanish. And here locally, they couldn't figure out what it was. So then she took him to Guadalajara, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. And then they ended up moving back to the States because they felt that if they could be at some places where they could get additional care, that would be a good thing. Well, it just so happens that they still haven't found out what he's ailing from. So it's one of those kind of things where people come and then they get sick or they fall ill, and they are very they just feel like they need to be back in the States and be getting the care there, which is all right. And some people end up having to go back because of the fact that they want to be using their Medicare, they want to be using their VA, or they've got some other insurance that they want to be able to have access to. So that's one thing. Somebody becoming ill. Now, there have been folks that come here who've gotten sick, but they've been taken care of locally, whether it's here in Ajijic or San Antonio, or it's in Guadalajara. Here's a reason it's interesting that people I've seen and have heard and talked to people who have left. The people, they end up running into the wrong people. Now, what do I mean by that? I just mentioned to you about people that are entitled, that said, you know what, I'm not going to learn the language, and I don't know why everything at Walmart isn't in fact in English. All kinds of things like that. Again, we're in their country, we're guests. We need to remember that. The wrong people can also be people that are very polarized when it comes to politics. Now, everybody's got their feelings of what's taking place in the States or what's taking place in Canada. But there is a vast majority of people that come here that want nothing to do with it. They don't want to have a conversation about politics. They come here because they want to be able to relax and really be able to enjoy a retired life. So that's one of the reasons that people get around the wrong people and just kind of rubs them the wrong way, and then they don't like some of the things also, so they go back to the States. Another one is people getting bad advice. They see things on Facebook, or they hear things, or their neighbor, and they get told about something, and it just turns out to be bad advice. And another place of that is actually on Facebook. Barbara, I'm not on Facebook, but Barbara is. And what's interesting is she'll show me things at different times. And she'll show me things that people say that is so wrong. I'll give you an example. Barbara last year in August was actually in the hospital. And being in the hospital, she had an emergency. She went to the hospital. There's some procedures that were done. And it turned out that Medicare paid for her whole time being in the hospital. So somebody went on Facebook and said that you cannot use Medicare farther than 60 miles from the border of the States. Well, we are a 12-hour drive from the border down here to Lake Chapala, and I assure you it's farther than 60 miles. So, and it wasn't only her. There was another gentleman who came down from our channel. I went out with him on the tour. He went to the hospital, I want to say 3 times. Had wonderful care. And it turned out that he used his Medicare. So there are people that don't have the right information. But you could come here, then get talking to somebody, and you're thinking, oh, well, if I got Medicare, I'll be okay. But somebody says, no, you can't use Medicare here. And that's untrue. So just so That's something you'd be thinking about when it comes to maybe the wrong kind of people. A person's tourist visa ends. So they have 180 days. They come into the country and they have 180 days to be here. And when it ends, the 6 months, 180 days, they end up leaving, go back to the States. And that's it. They've had a feel, they got an idea what it was like here, and it wasn't for them, so they went back. Another one I hear from families is they miss their family. So they've got kids, they've got grandkids. And the good thing is we've got an international airport that's only 30-minute ride away. And within an hour and a half, I think it is, 2 hours, you're back in the States. So there's that plus. But then there's some that there was a real close bond before they came here, and they just can't break the fact of not being with the family. So that is totally understandable. Even though that we've got, right now here, we have an international airport 30 minutes away, there's some that still go back to the States. Some don't listen to my suggestions, my warnings. They're getting bad advice. They're watching social media. They're on Facebook. They're referred by the wrong people to the wrong people. So what I want to share with you is I have no reason on my channel when I'm talking about referring people to someone. There is nothing in it for me except knowing that you got good care. So people can come here, and if they got a different doctor or a different dentist or a different mover or a different insurance, whatever it may be, obviously you've got your own choice of things. But I've had people come here, chose the wrong realtor. I've had people come here that chose the wrong rental agent. I've had people come here that chose the wrong mover. I've had people come and get bad advice. So what ends up happening is they get that advice and they say, you know what, that isn't what I was told. That's not what I understood here. And they leave. They miss out, not even knowing that that wasn't even correct. But, you know, just it's people. The people are the way here that they are in the States or in Canada. Same thing. It's just knowing that those aren't the people you're looking for. Some have said it's trashy. Now, I don't think I've ever seen a trashy neighborhood. I've seen maybe trash is set out. In fact, what they do is they hang them like on the light poles or the electrical line poles, or even they put it on the like a hook that might be on a fence. But there's times where dogs get into it. So that might be where you see a trash around. But the trash is continually picked up here at Lake Chapala. I know that where we live, it's 3 times a week. So it isn't like this place is a trashy place. I realize that there are people that say that, but I also want you to know that isn't necessarily the case. Vicious street dogs. Now, we were told about that ourselves when we came. And I don't know why. This is something that kind of becomes a real bad taste in the mouth for some people, because they're told that these are all street dogs that are just vicious and they're not friendly. I haven't seen one fight since I've been here, a dog fight since I've been here, over 4 years. And the street dogs, you'll see collars on them. You'll see that they're well fed. So the Mexican culture here is that the dogs don't stay in the house during the day, only at night. So they're out and around. But those dogs belong to somebody. So it's really important to know, you know, that there are no vicious dogs. I've never seen a vicious dog. We have 2 dogs that were rescue dogs. I just haven't seen it. So I think it's one of those things that people just don't have to really be worried about. The noise. So when folks come down and they're saying, well, I want to live in Ajijic, and I ask them why, and they says, well, I want to be able to communicate with people that speak English. Maybe they're not looking to take Spanish. Maybe they have no interest in taking Spanish. I've had people says, well, I'm old, I don't need to take Spanish. You know, whatever the reasons might be. But when you're in Ajijic, this is a highly concentrated, not only with expats, but with Mexican families. And so they have celebrations. They have parties. They have loud music. There are cohetes that go off, the fireworks. There are barking dogs. There are roosters, all those things. So if you're not wanting to be around the noise, well, then you don't just stay right in Nahihi. But if you talk to folks, there's going to be a lot of expats that will say, I live in Nahihi and it doesn't bother me. Well, that's a good person because they realize it's all part of the tradition here. It's all part of their culture. So we have to be willing to be embracing of that because this place here wasn't made for us. It was made for the Mexican people. We're here as guests. The lake being polluted. I probably get more emails about the condition of the lake than I do. I mean, I might get more emails on crime and such, but the lake being polluted. I want you to know right now the lake is not polluted. Now, there was a time 25, 30 years ago where it was, because the lake, it's at the east end. I mean, the river, it's at the east end of the lake that feeds into the lake. It's called the Lerma River. The Lerma River used to be polluted because of the fact there's commercial on both sides of the lake, of the river. And there was no filtration being done. But today, 30 years later, it is filtrated several times before it even gets to the lake. So the lake is not polluted, it's a freshwater lake because the water's being treated before it even gets to the lake. So, but here's something else that's important to know, that the town that is at the west end of the lake actually has huge pumps that is pumping the lake water to Guadalajara at the speed of 2,500 gallons a second. 2,500 gallons a second, providing Guadalajara with 65% of its water. So there's a lot of people who just have the wrong information about the lake. Now, it's like any other lake, or it's like being at the beach. Just because the beach water crashes on the shore and it loosens up, it loosens up some of the dust and stuff that's just right underneath it, the sediment, that doesn't mean that the lake is impure. If you've seen drone footage that actually goes out to the lake and you're out 300, 400, 500 feet, you'll see that it's clear. But it isn't right at the shore because it's constantly pounding on the shore. So that's an important thing to know about if the lake is polluted. I mean, there's fish, there's bass here, there is whitefish, there is carp. So the fish itself here is, there's plenty of it. The thing is, they wouldn't be putting that in to the lake if in fact it was a polluted lake. Some folks see on Facebook and such that they're being told that they can't find a rental house for less than $2,000 a month. Now, I've seen online, Barbara showed me that there are people that tell people that you can't find anything to rent that's under $2,000 a month. We don't pay $2,000 a month. In fact, when we first got here, we only paid $650 a month for the first 2 years that we lived here. And we've been here for 4 years. And so I let folks know that there are plenty of places. I mean, there are places for as low as $400 a month to be able to rent here. There are deals here. It's just got to be timing and preparedness. So that's where success is at. So it's when timing and preparedness meet. That means that you're ready to find a place. In other words, maybe your end of the lease is actually coming and you're in the position to be able to do that. And you have found a place. So everything comes together and there you are. It's a great deal. So there are those here. But there's plenty of places that are available for rent for less than $2,000 a month. I know somebody that left because they got burglarized. Well, they got burglarized. And I told them not to live in that neighborhood. I told them that is not the neighborhood that I would encourage people to live, especially expats. I think it's somewhat of a vulnerable area to live. And you're kind of not necessarily protected there just because of the way it's all set up. But I've had people that live there that have left because they got burglarized. I try to help you. I try to let them know where to be and where not to be, what places to rent in, what places not to rent in. I can't do it all. I can be honest, I can be forthright, I can let people know what my feelings are places, and they either choose it or they don't. Can't do anything about that. Traffic. Well, I'll tell you, I hear people talk about the traffic, and I hear people talking about the traffic. And when it really comes down to it, it isn't that bad. But it's easy to find something that's wrong to be able for people to say, you know what, can't stand the traffic. I've had people tell me they can't stand the traffic and they still live here. So I guess it can't be too bad, you're still here. So if you do drive, I drive. I've driven the entire time we've been here. I've driven to Guadalajara plenty of times. I don't look at the traffic as being bad. I don't look at it as being debilitating. Have we gone places where it's taken us a little bit longer to get there? Absolutely. There have been accidents. I mean, there have been parades. There's reasons why sometimes things, and there's a little bit more traffic. When the high season is here, there's more cars on the road, which means there's more people here. So the traffic, again, that's why I say that there's a lot of these things that are like in combination of other things. So the traffic really isn't bad, but some people use that as a reason why they don't want to live here or stay here. I talked about this a little bit earlier. Listening to bad information. There's so much of it. There's so many things I could point out that's bad information that people are being told. But you know what? It's not my duty to go and change all that. People are people. People do what people do. And everybody wants to feel like they've got the answer to everything. And it's the truth. The difference between them and me, I don't make a dime on referring someone to a great hotel or to a great restaurant or use this insurance person or use this attorney. I don't make a dime. I make zilch. We don't make a dime from YouTube. Our channel is non-monetized. So, I mean, why would I want to give bad information when I know there is good information? The reason being is because of the fact that I know it can help you. I know that can make a difference for you and your time here and the lifestyle you have here to be able to know what the truths are. That's an important thing. I would say to somebody that instead of looking at why people leave, why do people stay? Why do people stay and live the rest of their life here? The climate, number 2 best climate in the world. The environment, we're around a lake. We've got mountains around us. We've got beautiful foliage, lots of plants, lots of things grow really well here. We have a lot of tropical plants here also, because what ends up happening is we're on the same latitude as Hawaii. So what takes place is everything goes blooming. I mean, it's beautiful. We're right now coming into we've been in the rainy season. We're coming to the cooler part of the year, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Now I know I got long sleeves on, but I normally wear long sleeves a lot just because of the fact I weighed 350 pounds at one time, and I had weight loss surgery, so I've lost a lot of weight. Today I'm about 225 pounds, so I've kept a lot of it off, and I just get cold quicker. So I always wear long sleeve, but we're coming into the best time of the year. You know, I would tell people just be careful. Be very careful of the voice that you listen to. A lot of people are going to say things. I have no reason to be dishonest. I have no reason to, I mean, again, I don't gain by telling somebody, go to this restaurant. They don't send me a tip. I don't get anything. It's just the fact I want to make sure that people's time, their experience here is a really good time and a really good experience. You know, I would say too that people come here because the pace of life is a lot slower, more of a relaxed peace. I can tell you personally, I'm actually on less medication than I was when I first got here. That's changed. I've got some wonderful doctors here. I would also say that a reason people come here is because of the fact that the healthcare is very affordable here. Very affordable. A lot of people that live here don't have insurance because it is so inexpensive that you can actually pay out of pocket. But there's those that do want to have the insurance, and you can buy and get and be protected by private health insurance. Another reason is finance, the affordable living, the affordability here of being able to live. A lot of people live here because of the fact they wouldn't be able to live in the States the same way. Barbara and I live here on Social Security. There's a lot of people that live here on Social Security. So there's a lot of reasons. I could go through a whole bunch of, but there's a lot of reasons why people stay and don't move, because it is a great place to be. So friend, I hope with all of that, with being very open and transparent and sharing some things with you, I hope that you end up realizing that, hey, it's not for everybody, but it's for those that really want to live a totally different type of lifestyle and really enjoy their time being here at Lake Chapala. So as always, thank you so much for being a part of this channel and a part of this community. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you on the next video.